Today's High Performance Podcast is brought to you by Josh Phegan Digital. It's the only place to track and keep yourself accountable by looking at all of the essential numbers, from buyer appointments, market appraisals and listing appointments, to listings, sales and income, and working in 45-minute sessions. You'll find it all on Josh Phegan Digital. Welcome to High Performance, the podcast featuring Josh Phegan and Alexander Phillips. Alexander, without a doubt, one of the most important conversations for any agent right now is to make sure that all the properties they've got on market are actually sellable. And there's a number of owners that are out there saying, hey, look, we'd like to be sold before Christmas. And it's really important that we start to think about the buyer work that we're doing, but also to the conversations around remarketing, changing sale method, but doing something else to actually get a campaign back on track. What are some of your go-tos when a property's not selling to make sure that it does?
Thanks, Josh. We've changed a lot in our selling strategies to ensure that for those properties that aren't selling, that they get rebooted pretty quickly. They're not sitting around too long. So what we, as a team, came up with is if we pass in a property, we keep it for sale for 3 weeks and we re-auction it straight away, providing you get a substantial change in guide price, increase in marketing and a new auction date. So a lot of our properties, I'd say probably still 40% aren't selling, and then then the rest of those are then being re-auctioned. If they're not being re-auctioned, it's because the vendors too unrealistic. We're actually asking them to take it off the market. So looking at my list this morning, because I was actually looking at it before coming in here, when I was at home having breakfast, I looked at we've got 33 properties on the market. I'd say 8 to 10 of them are unsaleable. So we want to get rid of the deadwood, focus on the ones that are. So we've got like 25 good ones left. We want to do another 30 odd sales before the end of the year. So we need to find another 10 listings to make sure that we're hitting that. So the main thing is ensuring that you keep open houses going. Those vendors that don't want open houses aren't motivated. You've got to keep up, doing two open houses a week. Increasing marketing, vendor meetings, new price guides, making sure that all that's happening all at once.
Alex, just an interesting thing. I was working with an agency principal, down in Victoria this week, and they had 72 listings on inside of their business. And I said, how many do you think are actually going to be saleable by the time we get to Christmas? He said, probably 20. I said, so what's the plan with the other 50? He said, we're just going to hope for the market to go back up. That to me is a really dangerous position to be in, that you're going to hope for the market to go back up. There's a lot of people saying, hey, interest rates, we can't wait for the difference. One of the key things that I've actually seen is that literally there's a 47% reduction in borrowing capacity on how much a borrower could borrow. So if Josh could borrow $1 million 2 years ago, that same borrower today could only borrow $530,000. Also, in addition to that, I was having a look at a $1 million home loan, and the difference of 0.5% is going to be equal to about $300 per month, which means about $80 a week. Now, I'm a bit worried about that because I think that $80 a week is probably going to be eaten up by higher petrol prices, some of the changes that might be going on in the side of the global community. How many people are just holding out for a false sense of hope that all of a sudden they're hoping that there's going to be a rapid increase in prices and everything will start going back up when interest rates go down? Because I don't really see $80 a week making much of a difference to having an extra 5, 10 or 15 buyers at your open for inspections on Saturday.
Yeah, I think there's a real false, everything's pegged to interest rates. The market's going to go up. We're going to get more buyers. I disagree. I actually think the market would actually drop based on what we saw when we had 13 rate rises and the market went up 10%. So, it's sort of the new norm where rates are at the moment. I think you might see them fluctuate probably about 10 or 20% of the actual percentage of where we're at the moment. So you're talking like 0.5%, 1%. It's not going to go down to 2% ever again. It just, money was too cheap, and I think they've realised that sort of caused inflation, and they don't want that to go back. So you're going to find, some change, but this is, you're probably in a market that's going to be very choppy for many years, up and down and side. We've seen that over the last, 5 to 10 years.
And I'm saying to people, next year doesn't necessarily get better. January, February, March are probably going to be pretty straight. April, you get to hit into Easter and also to Anzac Day. May's the latest that they can go to call a federal election. That could be 5 or 6 weeks. Then off the back of that, maybe heading into June, that could be a bit patchy if you've got a minority government and it takes 1, 2 or 3 weeks for it to actually form government, which could happen. So from that point of view, April, May, June's got a lot of turbulence. What I'm actually saying to sellers right now, the price that you're probably going to get today is going to look like a record price in 6 months' time. If you're not going to sell right now, then January would be the time that I'd be doing it. What happens if all of a sudden they call the election in February? So it's really important from an agent's perspective to give insight and perspective for a seller to be able to make a decision to actually sell today, rather than ultimately holding off for some sort of false hope that everything's going to be great a little bit later on down the track.